As he went along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" "Neither this man nor his parents sinned," said Jesus. "But this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming, when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." And after saying this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. "Go," he told him, "wash in the pool of Siloam." This word means sent. So the man went and washed and came home seeing.
Wow, it is different seeing this room with people in it. I am so glad to be with you guys today. It really is a blessing to be with this church. As Tom said, I've known him for 10 years. I don't normally wear tank tops in the green room at Saddleback. It's just like he happened to find the one time I did. Honestly, when he came over here, I really started closely following this place. I love what this church stands for, who you guys are. And I know there's a Celebrate Recovery that meets here that I have heard is unbelievable. I've had several of our volunteers come share their story here and come back raving about this place. And so if you're a part of that ministry, I thank you for what you're doing and for who you are. I've been married for about 20 years. My wife and my youngest daughter is actually here in the room today. And this is my youngest daughter's first time actually hearing me teach, which is weird. She's a teenager almost. And when I look at that, I did college ministry. All my stuff, CR, college, was all at night. And so you're not going to take your youngest daughter to somewhere when you start teaching at like 8 o'clock at night. And so she's here today, which is exciting. And just so you know, I have two daughters, which instantly, that are both teenagers, which instantly tells you how you could be praying for me in this future. So I am so glad to be here. And just a little more, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I have 2 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters. And I want to share a story about growing up that was kind of foundational for me. And I want to preface it with this. I know that as I share this story, my kids will have some kind of story like this that they share about me and my wife at some point in their life. And I preface that, but I remember I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was sitting in my bedroom and I was playing Nintendo, the old gray and red box with the 2 buttons, really easy to play. And I remember I was sitting in there, and all of a sudden I heard my mom yell my name in a tone I had never heard in my entire life. It was this kind of shrill, and she's one of the few, my wife and her are the only ones that call me Michael. And I heard, "Michael!" And she comes running into my room, and I'm stressed out because I've never heard this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. And she comes in and goes, "I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you did that." And I'm like, "Did what? I'm playing Nintendo. What did I do?" And she's like, "I cannot believe you carved your name in my hope chest." Now, if you're here and you're like, "I don't know what a hope chest is," it was a gift given to her when she was married. It's made of wood. It's literally a chest. She puts all of her sentimental things in. Her wedding dress was in there. Wedding pictures were in there. Letters from when she was dating my dad were in there, and some other stuff that I don't quite remember, but it meant a ton to her. And I knew that. And as soon as she's like, "I can't believe you carved your name in my hope chest," I was like, I would never. And she's like, "Who else? Who would carve your name in my hope chest?" And I'm like, "That's the question. Who would carve my name in your hope chest?" And so she picks me up, and we had one very common punishment for stuff like this. And she put my nose in the corner by our front door, and she said, "You stay here until I tell you can come out." And so I am like this in the corner, not moving, for 90 minutes. 90 minutes. That's, as a 7 or 8-year-old, that might as well have been 90 years. I just remember staring at the wall going what do I do for all this time? And eventually she comes in around the 90-minute mark, and she gently puts her hand on my back. And she goes, "Michael, you can come out of the corner." And I turn around, and she says, I need to apologize to you." And I'm like, she's like, I talked to your sister. And I know now, I know you were telling me it wasn't you, and I didn't listen. And she came forward and said, it was her. She was mad at you. And so she carved your name so that you would get in trouble. And I turned around, saw my sister, who said, sorry. My mom made her say sorry. And I'm like, put her nose in the corner. And my mom turns around to her and goes, Sarah, thank you for telling the truth. And then just sends her on her way. I was like, whoa. Like when I do it, I get the corner. When she does it, just go play. I'm done. My mom had obviously calmed down a little bit. And now I forgave my sister eventually. We're actually kind of close now. She leads worship at a church, a Presbyterian church in Eastvale, which is towards Riverside. And she's got 4 kids and a husband that I really love, other than he's a Padres fan. And I'm like, grace upon grace. I'll let, some people have that. And so, I remember, though, that was one of the first times I experienced an injustice, a big thing that I was like, what did I do to deserve this situation I'm in? I don't feel like I did anything. Now, that's the one time I didn't do anything to deserve it. But I was like, what did I do? How? And if you're in this room and you've ever found yourself in a situation, whether it's a diagnosis you didn't see coming, a marital problem that you thought marriage was going to be easy and nothing but bliss, and then you find yourself struggling. Or you're in a job that you loved and were laid off. You might have thought the same thing I did. God, what did I do to deserve this? It's a very common thought that we tend to drift through. And here's the thing. You've been in a series called Signs, and looking at the signs and wonders of Jesus. And here's the thing. I wonder today if today's message is a sign for you. If you've ever asked that question, I believe it was a sign for you, because when I read this story, it was a sign for me. And so if you have a Bible, you can open it up to John 9 or on the Bible app, or it'll be up on the screen. And I want to give you some history. Now, Jesus had just got done, and he was saving the woman that was caught in adultery. And then he begins going back on his journey. And that's where it picks up in verse 1. And it says, as he, Jesus, went along, he saw a man blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? That's the question. What did he do to deserve what he has right now? What did he do to deserve this? And it's the same question. You might be in here right now and going, I don't even know if I believe in Jesus. And the question that many of us, when we struggle with our faith, ask this question: if God is loving, if he loves us, why do bad things seem to happen, even to good people? Is he punishing me for my mental illness? Is he punishing me for my job? Is he punishing? What did he do? What did I do? What do we do to deserve this? And Jesus right now is going to reassure us, if you've ever had that thought, that it's not about you. What you're going through, the struggle, is not about something you have done. In fact, Jesus says in verse 3, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. Jesus is saying this world is broken. It happened because the world is broken. But let me tell you, God's light is going to shine through this man. Now, I don't know about you, but I love inspirational stories and movies. I love inspirational documentaries. They all have this insurmountable moment where they're like, I can't overcome this, but then somehow they pull through to get where they're trying to go. And it just makes me ready. I watched the movie Rudy. If anyone's ever seen the movie Rudy, about the kid that goes off to Notre Dame, it was his dream, and he finally gets on the field for one play, and that's it. And it's amazing. And I remember watching it, and I'm like, I'm small. I want to play football. I'm going to go play football for Notre Dame. I never did. But I love an inspirational story. And I bet most of us in this room, you do too. You love an inspirational story. But what I found is we love inspirational stories unless it's our story that's supposed to provide the inspiration for others. I love a good inspirational story, but when it's my story, I'm like, God, I'm not equipped for my story to be that. I don't want why am I the person that has to do this? God, can't your works be through someone else? Can't someone else who's better equipped deal with this? And Jesus goes on to say this, as long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Notice he said we, him, his disciples, and that extends to us. We must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work while I'm in the world. I am the light of the world. And if you go on further in the scriptures towards the end of Jesus' life, he says, you are the light of the world. That when his light is shining through us, that we get to be that light as well. And now Jesus does something that's very unique. It says, after saying this, he spit on the ground and made some mud with the saliva and put it on the man's eyes. Now, it probably was a good idea, like good that he was blind, because if I see someone spit in the mud and go, I'm going to put this on your eyes, I'm like, no, you're not. You're not putting spit mud on my eyes. But this was obviously some powerful loogie mud that he puts down, because he goes and says, wash in the pool of Siloam. And so the man went and washed, and he came home seeing. Now, this is a great story. This is a true story that they document down in the Gospels. And I love that he healed this man. But if you're anything like me, I have tough questions. I read a story like this and I'm like, this is awesome. I'm glad that man got healed. But the question is, why him? I mean, I know Jesus saw other blind people along the way and didn't heal every one of them. I know you talked about the pool of Bethesda just a few weeks ago. And when I read that story, I'm like, he walked through a crowd to get to this one man and heals him. And he's like, excuse me, pardon me, I'm gonna get through, you guys. I gotta get back on my way. And I'm sure everyone sitting around is like, what about me? What about me? Where's my miracle? And I believe, God, Jesus, you could heal me through a word, through a touch. Why him? Why not me? And it reminds me of my first year in ministry. It was my first full year. I was a high school pastor. It was at the church I found Jesus. I met my wife. I volunteered there. It's where I found my calling. I was so excited to be a pastor. And I was maybe 6, 7, 8 months in, and I got a call that no parent wants, and no youth pastor wants to receive. One of my core students, this girl named Carla. Carla was unbelievable. Carla was a cheerleader, a soccer player. She was popular and well-loved. But the thing I loved about Carla, she loved Jesus more than anything. Everyone knew it. She was the girl that would walk in and light up the room. You knew when Carla was there without seeing her because everyone was smiling. She changed the whole room and the dynamic in the room just by being present. And I loved being around her. My wife and I would be happy to see her. We started intentionally talking and pouring into her. And it was this beautiful, beautiful season until the call. In the call, the person said, Mike, Carla was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And the odds are she's not going to make it. It's pretty grim. And I remember as I heard this being shocked and going, God, that's one of the good ones. Like I got other students that I understand if you're going to punish them, but not her. And I remember my heart was broken. And then when I went to see her, my first thought was, she's 15. She's going to be angry. She's going to be devastated. Like, how do I comfort this girl? And I walk in the room, and there she is with the biggest smile in the world. And I'm talking to her, and I'm like, Carla, you seem happy. And she's like, well, you know, what do I do? I love Jesus. And I just know Jesus is going to do what he's going to do. I trust him. If he calls me home to heaven, that's amazing. And if not, I know that my life is meant to share his love, his grace with others. I just hope that my story and what he does leads others to Jesus. And as a church, when you have someone like this or anyone like this, we did what we could do, which is we prayed, we fasted, we did everything we could to be on our knees for this girl. And months later, as she finished up her first round of chemo and was going to get a scan, we waited. And I prayed and fasted that whole day, and I got this call. And the call was from another pastor that said, Mike, I talked to Carla's parents, and the cancer's gone. The doctors cannot figure out why. The doctor said it's a miracle. Like, it is not there. It looks like it's never been there. She's healed. And I I was like, there it is. The miracle we've been praying, like God did it. He did it in front of our eyes. And we celebrated like crazy. And it was a few weeks after our winter retreat that I got another call. A few months down the road, Carla had started getting headaches. And she went in to get checked, and they did a scan just to make sure. And they said, Carla, your cancer is back, and this time there's nothing we can do. You have weeks. We can do chemo, but it's only going to give you months, maybe 1 or 2. So Carla said, well, I don't want to do chemo. If Jesus is calling me home, I'm ready to go home. And I met with her, and this time I expected she's got to be angry this time. God, you gave the miracle. You ripped it out of our hands. If I'm her, and maybe I felt this because I was angry. I was like, God, you gave us something and took it. Where are you? Why heal some? Why heal her for a moment? And when I walked in, she smiled at me and she said, it's okay. I'm ready to go home. My only prayer is I just hope someone comes to know Jesus because of my story. I left that room and went, Jesus, I know I wish I had that kind of joy, peace, and faith as this 15-year-old girl. I'm a pastor going, I wish I had that kind of faith she has because I'm angry. And my question was, God, what the heck are you doing? What are you doing with this? How can you be good and do this to someone that has been this sweet, this amazing, sweet, Jesus-loving person? She doesn't deserve this. And that's a big question that many of us will ask at some point in our life. And the big question is, what about me? Jesus, if you're good, if you love me, why not me? What about me? Why do you heal some? Why not me? Why do you heal that person and not the one, my loved one who has it? Why did some people get healed and others not? In my early 20s, I was diagnosed bipolar. And I remember I got the diagnosis and I was devastated, and I started on medication, and I remember thinking people do not want to deal with a bipolar pastor. No one will trust a bipolar pastor. I need to be better. And so as soon as I felt good enough, I went off my medication. And I was like, I have to be better. In faith, Jesus, I'm going to trust. You're going to heal. You're going to do what you can do. And I know you're going to come through, because you wouldn't have called me into ministry and given me this. And for years, I lived in denial because he had to do this. I remember at nights I would recite, like, Jesus, look at all the good I'm doing. Take this away. And yet year after year, here I am 20-something years later on medication for my bipolar, going, there you are. Jesus, what did I do to deserve this? And that's one of the temptations. God, look at all the things that I'm doing. God, what do I need to do for you to recognize me? What about me? And maybe you're here and like you bargain with God. If you're like me, you're like, God, okay, if you come through on this, I will tithe. God, if you come through on this, my faith will be in you. I will serve every weekend, every service. I will go out into the city. I will shout about you from the mountaintops if you heal me. And what I found is you don't even have to be a believer in Jesus to have that moment. I found a lot of people that don't believe that pray that unique prayer. God, if you're there, can you just maybe help me out, and I'll put my faith in you? Which shows a couple things. One, you're not 100% certain there's not a God. And also it shows that you believe if there happens to be a God, he hears me. He might hear what I have to say. But when we bargain, it's like believing God is some corrupt politician going, give me what I want and I will keep you safe. And if you don't, I'm going to punish you. And what I have found to be true is, at the end of the day, God doesn't want something from you. He wants something for you. And so if you're here right now going through it, and you're like, what about me? Why some? Why not others? I'm going to tell you the answer to that. And so if you might jot this down, you might not. It's a really deep answer. It's kind of complex. Here it is. The real answer is, I don't know. I have no clue. Why some? Why not? I could speculate with you. I could guess. I could say, but this side of heaven, I don't think I'm going to have any idea why some, why not others. Why did my neighbor, who doesn't even go to church, get healed, save their job, and mine is gone? And I'm there every weekend. I serve. I do everything. But here's the thing that I have found. And the question that I might never know this side of heaven, but I would say the thing that I found is, while I might not get the miracle that I wanted, Jesus has provided the miracle I needed. And that's true of you as well. He worked the ultimate miracle for us. And here's what I mean. The ultimate miracle is Jesus left heaven to come to earth. He walked and lived a perfect life. He died, he suffered, was crucified, died, buried, rose again, so that you and I, as simple as it is, we could just put our faith in him and receive heaven. That we don't have to worry about where we go, we get eternal life. I read that and go, that is a miracle. To leave the comforts of heaven, to come live and die, to go through what he went through, that it's as simple as just putting my faith. It might not be the miracle I wanted at the time, but it is the miracle we all need. And the other thing I found as I was reading scripture that was so interesting was even Jesus didn't get an answer of yes to every desire he had and prayed about. And maybe you're going, are you sure? Luke 22:42, Jesus prays, Father, if you're willing, please take the cup of suffering away from me, yet I want your will to be done, not mine. He says, hey, Father, if I could avoid a crucifixion, that would be really cool, but not my will. If this is where it has to be, I trust and I believe and I know, and I'm willing to do it. And there are some prayers, I think this shows it, some prayers that are better answered with a no. That God says, I have a plan to work through it. And that's why Romans 8:28 says, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. Now, that doesn't say all things are good. What you're going through, celebrate, because God's going to bring good out of it. That is not what he's saying, but the promise is you won't go through all good things. But when your faith is me, I will work good out of it. And that's the miracle. You will see some good come out of it. And this man who's healed with spit and dirt leaves this encounter changed. In fact, he runs into the city, can see for the first time, and the people that see him don't even believe it's him. They're like, this is some imposter. The guy I know was blind. There's no way he could have been healed. And he walks up and he's like, Jesus healed my blindness. And they're like, well, this Jesus must be demonic. He must be a blasphemous because he claims to be the Messiah. He can't do something like this. And the blind man answers in John 9:25. He says this, whether he, which is Jesus, is a sinner or not, I don't know. The one thing I do know, I was blind, but now I see. I was blind, but now I see. You see, I think you and I in seasons where we're on earth, where we don't see everything that God sees, we're blind. But there is a day that we will see, that we will get a glimpse of what God has been doing. In fact, going back to Carla's story, her prayer was I just need someone to come to know Jesus. And I want you to get a glimpse of her faith because her faith was powerful. This girl that always had a smile, that had a calmness, was just so present. The smile wasn't fake. The smile wasn't put on to be strong, to put on the show. It was this authentic calmness about what was going on. And I found a video from the hospital where she was getting treatment, where she was being interviewed about how her faith was giving her confidence. It's 1 minute, and I wanted to share it with you. So why don't you check this out?
Well, for me, faith has been pretty much everything because for me, God puts in you a calmness that you can't really give yourself, Mm-hmm. And so people always ask me, how are you so calm? I have no clue, but just having a lot of faith, whatever God's will is, it's not really your choice. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's not like there was anything I could have done to control it or make it better or worse, so it's just, you just have to be content with whatever you...
So that gives you a sense of calmness?
Yeah, calmness. Obviously it's horrible and you don't want it, and you don't, but there's nothing you can, in the end, there's nothing you can do to change it, so being sorry for yourself and depressed in the end really doesn't make a difference. It doesn't help at all, so that's just, my faith kind of keeps me, more positive.
That was my Carla. That attitude was throughout the whole process. That joy that was palpable, that was not fake, that was not, I'm putting on a show, I need to be strong for others, was every second. And after she had passed away, that prayer of, I just need one to come to Jesus, we had our celebration of life, and we knew it was going to be bigger than our church. The main auditorium at our church could hold 500, maybe 600 people. And so we had to move it to this church down the street that had an auditorium that could hold a couple thousand. And when the day came, the whole place was packed. I mean, fire codes were broken like crazy. The walls were lined with people. The aisles were lined with people. And the pastor that got up, the associate pastor who was friends with her parents, was sharing Carla's story, which everyone got to witness when she was alive. And he began to share her hope was in Jesus, and because her hope was in Jesus, that's how she found the power to keep going through all of this. And let me tell you the gospel, and he shares the gospel and how this is available to you and to I as well. And he ends it by going, and if you're here today and want to give your life to that Jesus that Carla knew so well, I want to invite you to stand up. And I stood in the back of the room as over 500 people gave their life to Jesus that day. People that she had prayed for. That prayer that she had was answered. And I felt in the back of the room as I'm watching person after person stand up, God was saying, Mike, that's the real miracle. That's what she prayed for. That's what she wanted. Look at the good. It is tragic. I don't want her to suffer. I didn't take any joy in watching what she went through. But look at what I was able to do. She prayed for this, and not just one, but 500-fold, her prayer was answered. That's the miracle Jesus worked. Jesus says, I came to earth. I'm dying for you, resurrected, so that it's simple. You just accept me, and you get that miracle as well. And going back to John chapter 9, Jesus said this about them. He says, as long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. As long as it is day, as long as I have breath, as long as I have Jesus, my job is to shine that light of Jesus to others. You see, the question isn't why heal some and not others. The question really is, what am I going to do with the gift of grace that God has given me? And I'm going to be honest with you. If all Jesus ever did for me was save my soul from hell, that would always be enough. If that's all I ever get, that's more than enough. And every breath he gives me, every second is a gift, and I have something to give back. And so if you've walked into this room this morning wondering, what did I do to deserve the situation I'm in? And honestly, I'm going to tell you, if that's you, I am not trying to diminish your pain. I am not saying, put on a happy face, it's all going to be okay. Look at, there's good. What I am saying is that God can and will work a miracle out of it, one way or the other. What I can say is if you're there and you're angry, that God can handle your raw emotion every time. That he says, come to me, your authentic self, and I can deal with it. You see, maybe the sign we needed to be reminded of is that we live in a fallen and broken world. And while we're still here, we're called to be light. That our peace, our joy might not be bound in what we're experiencing, but can come from a God that we know redeemed our soul. It might not be the miracle we were hoping for, but it sure as heck is a miracle we need. For me, in my mental illness, some of my best moments in ministry have come through my story, have come through my mental illness. In fact, recently, a young woman that I knew experienced her very first manic episode. Someone that I love and care for, and I was angry because I know the struggle and the battle. I know the struggle of finding the right meds and staying on them. I know the struggle of what are people gonna think, see, and do. I know what she has to go through. She's a young girl, and for the rest of her life, the battle that she's gonna face. And I was in church singing a song, much like we did at the beginning of service, going, God, I know you're there. Jesus, what is happening? Why her? Why is this going on around me? And in that moment, in a split second, I felt Jesus say to me, Mike, everything you have been through was for this moment right here. You are going to be able to be a guide that you never got. You're going to be able to journey in a way that no one has been able to journey with you. You have something that they need. This moment, your entire life, all of it has been for right now. And I'm gonna tell you, in that moment, I realized, God, if God offered me, hey, I can give you a magic wand and it'll all be gone. Your mental illness will all be gone, but all the good that has come out of it, the hope, the ways you've been able to journey with people will also be gone. I will tell you 1,000,000 times over, I will take what I have because I have seen God work. When I started and got my diagnosis, I was blind to what God could do, and now I see what God is capable of. When we are lights, finding joy from salvation and not circumstances, the miracles pour in. I can't explain it, and I know it's tough, but I've seen it in my own life. So like Carla, maybe you're here and you need physical healing, and maybe the physical healing you're praying for might not be the thing that comes to fruition. But God has worked a miracle. And the question of how are we able to have joy with everything going on, all responds to Jesus, what Jesus has done. My hope and joy doesn't come from my circumstances. It only comes from Jesus. See, when we're blind, when we walk through life blind, when something bad happens, it is my fault. I did something. What did I do to deserve this? But when God opens our eyes, when Jesus opens our eyes to see the miracles, all I can tell you is at one time in my life, I was blind, and now I see. And for me, I might not see all the miracles until I'm in heaven. And I imagine in heaven, Carla there and 500 people going, thank God you showed your kind of faith. I am here today because you demonstrated a faith I couldn't explain in a God that loved you more than I could understand. I was blind and now I see. My hope and prayer, no matter where you're at, isn't that you put on a fake joy, but that you remind yourself of the immense love God has. And trust the fact that right now, we might be a little blind, but one day we will see, and the miracles will pour in. I'd love to pray for us. Father, some of us walked into this room tonight with a very heavy heart, going through some stuff. God, hard situations. And we're asking that question, what did I do to deserve the situation I am in? And God, I trust. Right now, we are handing some trust over to you, knowing right now in this moment, we don't understand. We are blind, but my faith is going to say, I know you're going to one day remove the scales and allow me to see how you've been working all this time. God, thank you that while we might not receive the miracle we want, you guaranteed and offered and worked the very miracle we need so that we can experience eternity with you, so that our hope, while this life might be difficult, that the next is not, that eternity begins today. The moment we accept you, that we get it now. And Father, for those of us that are walking in with raw emotion, God, will we have the courage and strength to face and to share with God our raw emotion, knowing, God, you are a big enough God to handle all of it and to come alongside in love. And for those of us that are weeping alongside and hurting, God, I claim your promise that you will draw near to the brokenhearted. Do that now, God. Speak clearly. I lift all of this up in your Son, the only person that could bring this about. In Jesus' name, amen.